All right, guys, we are here with Robert and Wendy Zahn of Value Electronics. I always like to show the little sign up there in the corner. You've always heard me mention Wendy, but this is Wendy. Hello, Wendy.
Hi there.
Thank you for joining us today. Robert and I are going to talk about the Hisense Dual Cell, the long-awaited panel for many of our watchers. I made Wendy be in the video, by the way. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy. Nice to see you, Bob.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thanks.
My pleasure. Robert, we are looking at the Hisense Dual Cell. This is a very long-awaited panel for us.
Yes.
I know we have a lot to talk about, but I know things were short and it was released a little bit late. Tell me a little about what you think about the Dual Cell Mini LED as we've sat here for the last hour and change and have watched it.
Thank you. Thank you all who are watching today. This is a very impressive panel. It's the one and only dual cell technology television that's in the industry. This is the second generation for Hisense. It's the second year that they're building them, but it's the first year for them to be available in the United States. This is a premium, high-end flagship model from Hisense. And dual cell, what that actually means is it has three layers that make up the display module. There's the front layer, which is LCD, native 4K, native LCD. Right behind it is sandwiched a 2K layer of LCD that becomes the backlight control. There's 2.1 million local dimming zones in the backlight control. Behind that are tens of thousands of very small LED lights that provide the backlight. So you have the LED backlight, you have the LCD 2K sandwiched right up on top of a 4K LCD. So you have 2.1 million local dimming zones. The TV is a little bit brighter than OLED, not quite, but almost as black as OLED. It has excellent backlight control, so there's very, very minimal blooming and haloing that you would normally see on an LCD LED TV. It's a very impressive television. It has very excellent off-angle viewing. The off-angle performance is excellent, so you don't see the images dim or colors shifting when you view off-angle. Off-angle is excellent. It has a very, very good native 120 hertz panel, so the refresh rate is native to 120. It has all the streaming apps that are popular. It's a smart TV built into it. It is a true 4K HDR with very good native contrast ratio, very nice video processing up conversion. This is the new flagship TV for Hisense. They are really going in seriously for the high-end premium market, and they have proven it very nicely with this exclusive dual cell display technology module.
And Robert, the fact that they're actually here, I mean, I'll brag for you. It is a big step that Hisense is here available. My biggest knock as a reviewer and as someone who would love to recommend more Hisense is that I don't have the ability to see them within store. They're a word-of-mouth brand, so even among the other retailers, to have them here to see is a great benefit, but they are a little bit hard to recommend as they are not visible within store.
Yeah. Well, Hisense was very kind to me, and we got the first two allocations. This is one of the very first dual cell. So this is a UN9DG is the model number.
Yeah.
And there's very few built, and we have the first two allocations.
Yeah.
So we bought them all.
They look very washed out because I am off-angle, guys. Because unlike a lot of other TVs, it doesn't allow me to keep it paused. But you know, we just very fortunate to be able to see this. This is a very popular brand, but again, very hard to recommend against the top three. Seems like it's here. We go. As we're on angle, guys, you can see how much nicer that is. But Robert, talk to me a little bit about the black level, because we sat here and were shocked at how the black level control was.
So blacks are deep and rich, which is a very, very nice thing, because black is the single most important element of picture quality that the human visual system enjoys. It has a very nice peak lumens. Again, none of the blooming and haloing. You can see right up here the black bars with no...
Even off angle.
They don't lighten up. They don't light up. That's right. Even off angle, which is a serious torture test. And thankful to the 2.1 million local dimming zones, they can do that. This has very, very good blacks. This is a serious contender for the premium choice of television today.
And you're impressed also with the short throw projector that you.
Boy, did they do a good job with
we can see it kind of back there.
Yeah, we have it on display in our showroom.
Yep.
We were also very honored by Hisense to include us in the very, very first allocation of the L9 projector, which is an ultra short throw, very close ultra short throw range, with a very high peak lumens of 3,000 nits, with really excellent color accuracy, color volume, very deep, rich blacks. It's very dynamic looking. It is a dedicated red, green, blue laser, so there's 3 lasers, so there's no spinning color wheel. This is a very serious premium ultra short throw laser projector with a premium image quality for a very compelling price.
Yeah.
In the 100-inch screen, which comes with it, so it's a whole system package.
Yeah, I can see the screen over there, which is fascinating.
System. You have a choice of a fixed hard screen that's good for moderate to high ambient light, or the more cinema type screen. You pick the screen you want. It comes for free included at $54.99 retail.
Wow.
That's a very compelling price for a premium triple laser 4K HDR.
Well, for those that don't know, the projectors that we currently deal with at Value Electronics, the prices are very... So if Robert's saying this hangs in there, that's pretty impressive for a Hisense.
Hisense has done a very serious job this year in upping the game of entering into the premium market for flat panel television as well as ultra short throw projection. So in their flagship models, they are competing with the best televisions and the best ultra short throw projectors. You will see this television and their ultra short throw projector in our 4K HDR shootout.
Oh, it will be in the shootout. Excellent.
And also, their projector will appear in our ultra short throw shootout, which will be September 12th and September 13th.
Excellent.
Coming up next week.
Yeah. And with Robert's connections with the engineers of these manufacturers, it's great for him, and I'm speaking for you here though, as a fan and a friend, for you to be able to give feedback to Hisense, I think is very valuable, because they really have been without that. So for you to be able to tell us what you see and then tell them, I think is a great advantage for them to be here.
Yeah, their project management have visited our store in person. I had a conference call with all the top executives and chief engineers and product development team. I had a very excellent conference call where I presented my feelings and things that I'm looking for, enhancing and fixing. They were very receptive. This company wants to do things right. I love companies that have the culture to enhance and improve and continue to make the product better.
Yeah.
So my hat's off to Hisense and their culture, their company culture, to get things right. So this is a very good company to support their customers and their products.
And Robert, what is your allocation for the Hisense? It's going to be hard to get a hold of this panel. Tell me what your allocation
is.
I
bought the first 2 allocations, and they're sold. We've sold them out already.
Okay.
The third allocation will be much larger, and it will be the first week of October. So we're accepting reservations for them, and we'll be the first company shipping them as well. But we've sold out of the first 2 allocations. They were quite small.
What is the current price of this model right now? Do we know?
It's $3,500 retail, but we're promoting it at $29.99.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
So we're doing it for $3,000, and we deliver it nationwide.
And it's available in one size, 75 inches, I believe. Okay.
One size only, which is the size class that we're looking at, which is 75 inches measured diagonally, which is 66 inches in overall width.
Yep.
Right.
I'm very impressed with it. I'll give you guys my thoughts when I voice over. But Robert, thank you as always. Good. I think it's amazing to have the Hisense in store. It makes it very easy for me to recommend, and I think it's very good sign for their future. Robert Zahn, thank you as always, my friend. Have a great night.
Brian. Thank you. All the best.
All right, guys, we're going right after it to a very challenging demo here, which is great to show the light control of the Hisense. Very impressive black level. If anything, that is the biggest takeaway you'll get from this video is lack of blooming, especially within the black bars. You'll see here, even though we're in a moderately lit room, there's near no blooming or haloing at all. These are very, very challenging demos. Now, some are HDR, some are not. I'll tell you which ones aren't HDR, but these are HDR demos. But the light control is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you again to Robert and Wendy again for welcoming me into the store. I try my best not to interrupt business, but we spend quite a few hours in front of this panel, which is why I like to show Robert sitting in the chair. It's what we do once these TVs arrive. This is out of the box. It has not been calibrated yet, and the preset was in HDR power saving initially, which I'll show you shortly. So once we took it out of that, put it into HDR theater or standard, the display came to life. And the reason I want to make this video as long as it is, it's nearly 30 minutes long, is Hisense is not really available in location for you to see. Robert is one of 3 retailers in the entire country that even has these to show. I hope Hisense changes that stance, puts them in retailers so many of you can see it. Here is some footage from my good friend Jennifer Gala. Please check out her channel. The reason I show this is she films it in 8K, but it shows the black bars, even off angle, remain completely black. What's also interesting, when changing local dimming, thank you again, Jennifer. When changing local dimming, it doesn't change this much. They're not purple. There's no blooming at all within the black bars. So many of you that are still loving LEDs, this is going to be a very, very solid choice. We're going to go through a lot of these demos. You'll see them repeat, but I'm going to go through some of the settings. Now, I will say that when you go with brands like TCL, Hisense, there's a little bit different in regards to their operating system. There are a lot of settings here to tweak, which is great. But they sometimes lack the elegance and the straightforward nature of the top 3, being LG, Sony, and Samsung. We'll show you the stand shortly, but as we're going through it, it's hard to explain, but the black level just keeps coming out. And again, shooting a good amount of this footage, you'll see me go through the different presets. Now, when I talk about elegance of operating system, here, instead of being able to go through each setting, I have to go through and pick it, meaning when I hover over it, it doesn't change on its own. Then I have to back out to kind of show you. These are little tiny things that, they need to catch up on. But the settings, there are a ton of them. There are a ton of presets. If you look down here, you'll see the energy saving one. That's the one that was enabled. You have filmmaker mode. You have IMAX mode. The screen is a matte/gloss. It's not completely glossy. Here is the stand. And the grill that you see here it looks almost like a carbon fiber design, but it is the grill of the speakers. The stand is very interesting. The panel is not minimalist. It's very thick, but then again, it is 2 screens basically sandwiched together. Now, the store is very busy. There are a lot of boxes behind. I'm not really able to show you much of the rear panel. I do believe there are 4 HDMIs. 2 are HDMI 2.1. The stand is, again, intricate, but not minimalist. It does have the Hisense name, which is shown. See here, it's very solid. It doesn't wobble. But that grill on the bottom was a little more thick, or a lot more thick than a lot of the more, the newer, panels out there. So that'll be a preference. Off-angle viewing was very good. And the point of mini LED is not only black level, it's to help with off-angle viewing. And to combat the weaknesses of LEDs. You'll see me go through the settings again. What I was most interested in when it came to the Hisense was once we disabled that HDR power saving, it really did come to life. Now here we are with some SDR footage and no change in brightness. It still looks fantastic, and SDR does look like HDR. But I'll show you in a few minutes as I pan into the room is when you're in a gallery like the one you see at Value Electronics, if your display shouldn't be there or can't hang, it's easy to miss. But the Hisense still stood out, and I'll show that in one of the later demos. Off angle and from far away, it did grab my attention. It did make me want to film it at that angle. Now, unfortunately, I was without my tripod, so you're seeing me kind of crooked here. But when I pan in and show you that, it grabs your attention. It's very vibrant. It is a QLED. I would say that the color settings, there are a lot of settings here. There's calibration settings. There's a gamma calibration setting. There is a lot to tweak here. But I think there's some tweaking and calibration that will definitely need to be done to bring the panel more to life in terms of its color. While it's colorful, I think it's capable of more color volume. The panel does sound very good. The features, there is a FreeSync function. I wasn't able to explore any of the game modes, but it is here to some degree. I will have to follow up on that to see exactly what it entails. And again, I can only keep echoing, for a lot of these brands of this level, they are breaking in and trying hard, as you're seeing, mostly with TCL and Hisense, to be in a higher end area. Now, only time will tell if they'll be able to get there. Having Robert recommend it and having it be in a location such as this will only help. But to me, what really hurts these brands is them being word of mouth. Them not being in a large retailer where you can go in and actually see what it looks like. For them to truly compete, I fully believe they need to be visible to the public and not just word of mouth. But this is the energy saving. This is where it was when I had enabled it or came in, and it darkened the image by about half. Now, with Mini LED, the concept is obviously more zones, light control, and getting a black level as close to OLED as possible. The key is to keep things as bright as possible. It seems like the Hisense does do a good job of both. The black level, again, very impressive. I can't determine the peak brightness by eye. That's something that will have to be done upon calibration. They will measure it and they'll post it, and I'll get those numbers as soon as they're available. But the light control was phenomenal. And even later in the video, as it gets dark, it's amazing, the delineation. You know, we have your IMAX mode here. IMAX, like it is on many panels, really disables your ability to tweak. But there are a ton of settings, even when I throw demos like this at it. And the reason I like showing a lot of these demos is to show you ones that you've seen on many other panels, Samsung UN9DG, Q900A, you know, as well as the OLED lineup. Reflection handling is actually very good. That doesn't look great because of the room is ridiculously open in as regards to windows. It's not super bright today, but the windows behind me are huge. It was actually raining, so it's not as bright as it normally is. But no handling here. Now, for those of you that wonder why you see a lot of demo material, copyright is very difficult on YouTube. So I really can't show you. Now, even off angle, as you can see, as I'm off angle, there was a bit of haloing there, but that actually is my camera. I was very hard pressed to find blooming. If anything, when you would get really, really close to the image, the way it would handle blooming was it almost looked like a shadow, like a darker shadow versus a haloing or anything bright. It didn't seem to crush any of the details. So was very, very impressed with it. Now, many of you know these demos. You can find them on LG Global. You can find them all over the place. If you have an LED, try these demos yourself and see how they behave. Now here, as I segue out of this, this is the image you see as you walk into the store as it's getting darker. And as you're walking in the location, it grabs you. To me, that's always a great testament to how vibrant a panel is, especially when it's surrounded by A90Js, A80Js, a ZX, and all these other panels, G1, C1, Z9J. When you walk in and this panel from this manufacturer grabs your attention, that definitely is a testament to how vibrant and how it stands out, which is fantastic. If a panel like this isn't up to any kind of standard, it would definitely not look like it's in the right place. This looks like it belongs here, which is actually pretty amazing. So you're going to see some haloing here as I'm off angle, but again, just the camera, not the actual blooming, which is amazing. I'll get back over here, and you can see very challenging demos. It does very well. Now, personally, many of you ask me why I don't recommend more Hisense. The challenge with Hisense and a lot of these other brands, as I mentioned before, is I can give you a recommendation on something I think is pretty good from what I've read and what I've researched. However, it's a little difficult when I can't see them myself. A little difficult to really give you, if I can't get in the settings, can't really see what it looks like. And I personally don't like to buy things without getting my hands on the remote or seeing it for myself. And that's what we've talked about many times in the comments is, is that something you're comfortable with? And it's a challenge these manufacturers will have to try to get past. Even though e-commerce is larger than ever, there is still a tangible and a visual thing that we must try to get in front of a panel and see it. There's still that feeling of it. Videos will never be able to truly do it justice. Now this panel, again, only comes in 75. I believe this is their flagship. Now, very impressive picture quality. The remote is something that leaves much to be desired. It is small, it's plastic, and the operating system is a bit convoluted, meaning there is a ton of settings. We'll get back into showing you some more standard settings here, but they're not where you'd expect them to be. There is, as I mentioned before, a calibration for its gamma. There are all kinds of color picture settings that are not where you think they would be. The local dimming, for instance, has a low, medium, and a high, but it also has a slider. And it has not an OLED, an LED light. You'll see it there. Yeah, see, we're here now. You can see this automatic light sensor. Then there's a backlight level, which I'm sure is just brightness, but it's a lot of settings for the average person just to use. Right off the bat, the HDR power saving being enabled is going to be challenging. Though we've discussed that even with the C1, having 2 eco and power saving modes enabled really cripples the picture quality. So best is to really get your hands on any display and really go through those settings and see if you can disable them. But there is great saturation. Very, very happy with it. I would not have spent this much time filming it. I actually had to cut a bunch of footage out of it. I'm very pleased that it's here. I'm very happy I was able to get my hands on it. The allocation is very small initially. As Robert mentioned, these are already sold out. There will be a larger allocation in October. Now, being that it's 75 inches, this will be a hard panel for people to review. It'll be a difficult panel for people to buy and return. Now, I could get one loaned to me if the interest is there. 75-inch panels are very hard to transport. Even for me to test it, it does take up a lot of room. But for me, very pleased with it. The picture that I put in the community was before energy saving was disabled. And I do want to know where you guys are in terms of not only brand loyalty, but brand prejudice. A lot of you guys think these brands are not, they're not equal, or they are something you wouldn't be interested in because of the brand name. Now, keep in mind, nearly every brand in existence at one time or another was in this position of not being prestigious. So are you willing to give a brand like this, like Hisense, a chance? As they try to give you more features and get higher end, the value will diminish and the margins will shrink, especially with OLEDs being more affordable. For me, being someone who still loves LED, I want it to continue to evolve. I don't want an only OLED world. As you see, the light control here is fantastic. This Hisense demo is one of the hardest demos that I have with the smoke. The algorithm of the backlight is fantastic. There was no pixelation on the smoke. There was no haloing. Even OLEDs struggle with the smoke aspect of it. So very, very pleased with it. I wish there was more sizes available, but unfortunately, you're going to start seeing 65 inches has become the sweet spot in terms of the industry, and it's only going to go up from there as we are seeing more 8K panels. Here are some of the color aspects, the different controls that are there. You have your 2-point, your 20-point, your white balance. But again, there's a gamma calibration as I'm showing you here, instead of just choosing gamma, which is above it. What's interesting is the styling, again, is very unique. But it remains to be seen if it's something you guys will like, as it's not exactly minimalist. It is a style all its own. And perhaps one of the most challenging demos is here with all LG. That black level delineation, very clean. And it seems to have a pretty high contrast ratio. All right, guys, thank you as always. Thank you so much for watching, all the great comments. Contact Robert or Wendy with any questions. Check the description below for all their information. I will talk to you guys soon. See you in the comments. Love you guys. Take care.